It's 20,000 years ago. Someone in your group needs your attention. They don't call your name because you don't have one, not a nickname, not a title, nothing. For most of human history, that wasn't strange. That was just how people lived. And the reason why is stranger than you'd think. Right now, your name feels like the most personal thing about you. It's on your documents, your gravestone, the first thing anyone learns about you. But that idea, a fixed, personal, individual name, is much younger than you, not younger than humans, younger than most of human history. Let's go back to the fire. In many hunter-gatherer societies studied by anthropologists, individual names existed. But they weren't what mattered. What mattered was your relationship to everyone else. You weren't Anna. You were daughter of the one who hunts, or mother of the twins, or the one who lives by the river. Your identity was a position, not a label. This wasn't primitive, it was efficient. In a group of 30 people who all know each other, a name barely does anything. What matters is, who are you to me? Who do I owe? Who protects who? Kinship terms did that job better than any name could. And here's where it gets genuinely strange. Some languages studied by anthropologists don't even have a word for individual the way you use it. The self wasn't the basic unit. The relationship was. You didn't exist alone in the way modern people imagine existing alone. You existed as a node in a web that had been running for generations before you, which means the modern obsession with "who am I really?" would have made very little sense. Because the question itself assumes you're separate from everyone else. And for most of human history, you weren't. Not really. Now, some ancient cultures did use personal names, but even then the rules were different. In some Aboriginal Australian communities, a person's name could be spoken by some people and forbidden to others. Say the wrong name to the wrong person, and you'd broken a serious social rule. In many traditional Inuit communities, names weren't fixed to one person at all. A name could be understood as carrying a kind of identity or spirit that could pass to a newborn. Your grandmother dies. Her name, and in some sense part of who she was, could live again in you. A name wasn't a label stuck to one body. It moved. Try explaining that on a modern ID form. So if names were flexible, shared, sometimes even forbidden, what changed? The answer has almost nothing to do with identity, and everything to do with property. Around 10,000 years ago, humans started settling down, farming, owning land. And the moment you own something specific, someone needs to know exactly who owns it. Not the family by the river. A specific person with a specific claim. This is where fixed, permanent, individual names start becoming genuinely useful. Not for you, for the system keeping track of you. The earliest written names we have on record aren't love letters or poems. They're tax records, ration lists, debt tablets from ancient Mesopotamia. Someone needed to know exactly who owed exactly how much grain. Your name, as a fixed individual label, may have been born in an accounting ledger, not in a moment of self-discovery, in a moment of bookkeeping. But that was only the beginning of the pressure. As villages became cities and cities became states, something new appeared. The census. A ruler now needed to count you, tax you, draft you into an army. A kinship title like son of the river family was suddenly not precise enough. The state didn't care who your grandmother was. It needed one word that pointed at exactly one body. So, governments across history, from Rome to Imperial China, pushed fixed personal names, and eventually surnames, onto their populations. Not as a gift, as an administrative tool. In parts of Europe, permanent surnames only became widespread for ordinary people a few hundred years ago. Enforced, in many cases, specifically so tax collectors could track individuals across a lifetime. Your last name might exist today because a government, centuries ago, got tired of losing track of people. Individuality, in the modern sense, follows the paperwork, not the other way around. Which brings us to the part of this story that's genuinely unsettling. A fixed personal name isn't just a way to be known, it's a way to be found. Once you have one name permanently attached to one body, you can be taxed reliably. You can be drafted reliably, punished reliably, tracked across an entire lifetime. A name is identity. But historically, it's also a leash with your family's fingerprints on it. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's just what naming systems were built to do. Let's picture one specific moment where this shift actually happened. A small village, a few thousand years ago, somewhere in the ancient Near East. A royal scribe arrives. He's here to count households for the king's records. He points at a farmer. "What is your name?" The farmer hesitates. He's always just been the one who tends the eastern field. But that answer won't fit in the scribe's ledger. So, for the first time, the farmer gives himself a single, fixed word to be called. That word gets copied into a tax record, then a debt record, then a court record. From that point on, he can't quietly disappear back into the family by the field. The name follows him. Everywhere, forever. That's not a myth. That's roughly how naming systems spread through early administrations. So here's the uncomfortable twist. You probably think of your name as the deepest expression of who you are. But historically, fixed individual names spread less because people needed self-expression, and more because systems needed a reliable way to locate a single accountable body. Every time you fill out a form, sign a lease, or get a delivery, you're using a technology built for control, not built for you to feel special, built so nobody could vanish into the crowd. It just happens to also feel deeply, powerfully personal now. Because for thousands of years, humans have been raised inside that system, long enough that the tools started to feel like the self. Your ancestors, 20,000 years ago, would not have understood that feeling at all. To them, you weren't defined by a word attached only to you. You were defined by everyone you belonged to. And in a strange way, maybe that was a more honest description of a human being. Because you're still not really a name. You're still a web of relationships wearing one. A mother's kid, a friend's favorite person, someone's whole world. The name on your documents is just the part a government could measure. Everything that actually made you, the web, was never on that form. It never needed to be. It came first. So the next time someone calls your name, remember what it actually is. A label the state invented so it could count you. Everything underneath it is still the older, truer thing, the web that was always holding you.